In step 3, we will look at a few of our menu options. And frankly, you really don't need to deal with much of anything that's going on up here in your menus. But I'll just point out a couple things you might find useful. First, in the help section, it helps if I'm in Dreamweaver. First, in the help section, you might want to check out Dreamweaver tutorials or quick tutorials, the developer workspace, the standard workspace. Let's just say you go to Dreamweaver tutorials. We'll open up the site and you can search for topics, or you can just see what is available. All right, so keep in mind that there are a couple of resources in the help menu. Let's go back to Dreamweaver, as far as tutorials or even learning about the developer or the standard workspace. The next is, remember, the site menu, where you can create new sites or manage a site. And basically you can do either of these once one of them is open. So let's just say we go manage site. This is the demo site we created, we targeted in step 1. If you want to edit a site, select that site, click on the pencil. Then you will be able to change the name. You'll be able to reconnect to a folder. Then all you have to do is click save and then done. And you notice you can make a new site from here also. If you want to get rid of a site, then all you need to do is select the site and press the minus or the delete button. Okay, so edit a site, delete a site. Let's go ahead and click done. Next, you might go to the tools, and in the tools, I probably should use this more often than I do, but you can do a spell check, which can be useful. And other than that, I don't really deal with anything else in this window. You might be tempted to use the cleanup HTML, but you need to be very careful. This will rewrite some of your code and the outcome might not be at all what you're looking for. So be super careful of this one. You might just want to deal with spell check. Then there is the view as far as viewing your code, changing the interface as far as are you looking at live view, or are you looking at design view, or do you have your code on the left, on the right, top or bottom? That's really up to you. All right. Now, edit, of course, typical edit, file for opening files, saving files, typical. Okay. And then the last one you might deal with in the Dreamweaver palette. All right, sorry about that. The cat decided to start knocking things off the table. And I'm not sure the cat's going to stop. All right, well, we'll get past that. Okay, so the last one, we'll go to the Dreamweaver and we'll take a look at our preferences. And we'll just take a quick run through of our basic preferences, which you might find useful to make adjustments. Let's begin in the general category as far as how you open documents or editing options. Again, I encourage you to explore, and set up things for how they work best for you. I tend not to worry about accessibility, code formatting. You might find this helpful as far as indents or spaces for when you tab. And code hence, you might want to change the defaults for how Dreamweaver either ends or begins, ends opening or completes closing elements, I should say. code rewriting. I tend not to mess with this one too much. Again, it's up to you. Then we get down to, fonts. And you can set the font and font sizes for code. And you might want to deal with your interface as far as a theme which is applied. So I'll just move this over. So maybe you like a darker interface, maybe a lighter interface. Maybe you want to change the color formatting of the code. So if I just click Classic and Apply, maybe Raven, okay, you get an idea of that you can change the color formatting and layout. I'll go back to dark, okay, and new document. So we know we are creating, and it's a good idea just to make sure that you have this set to HTML5, okay. All right, so go ahead and explore. The only other one I might point out here is your real-time preview, where you can load different web browsers, and then you can select which is a primary or a secondary for your browser preview. So as an example, I tend to use Google Chrome as the primary, but you can load your other browsers to also test. So we're going to go ahead and click Apply, and then Close. And let's just go to the body of the document. We'll do the typical hello, and we'll save. And that preview we were just talking about with the browser is this button right here. So you should be able to click and preview in a browser of your choice. Now, do not be surprised at all if at one point while you're working, this window just stops being available. Otherwise, it will open, but you won't see anything inside. That is a fairly common occurrence, so don't be surprised. Nothing is necessarily wrong. It's just Dreamweaver being finicky. But again, let's just go ahead and click Chrome, and you will see your preview open up. Now, again, this is a preview, and you can tell by this address right here. And this does not always function correctly. It's good 90% of the time, but sometimes it gets a little quirky, all right? So just keep that in mind. So if this preview, for whatever reason, it stops becoming available, don't worry, go up to File, and then you should be able to go to real-time preview this way. And this one has always worked for me, okay? Now, what I tend to do is this. And instead of the preview, I'll go ahead and start out, I'll hide Dreamweaver. I'll open a web browser of my choice. We'll just move this out of the way for a moment. And I will force load, if you will. So I'll just take my index, drag this in to my window. If your browser doesn't work that way, you might have to drag it into the address bar. You might have to do a file open. You might have to take your index and drag it onto your browser icon. Whatever it takes to open your HTML document in your browser. So if that live preview isn't available, or if something just seems to be a little quirky, then drag your index file into your browser window. Okay, so if I go back, we'll do hello again, we'll save. I'm just using the key commands to save. We'll go back to our browser and just do a refresh. Okay, so either way, it's up to you. Don't be surprised if these live previews start to fail and get a little quirky. If they do, just take your HTML file, drag it directly into your browser window, and then just do a refresh when you make edits to your code.